Hello, everyone. I'm Sarah Poet, and I thought that I would come on here today to talk to you a little bit about the difference between organic creation and false creation. And you could also call this false creation like the false matrix or a false, inverted reality. This is like the reality that we are waking up out of. And there are so many messages about waking up and out of this false grid network, false matrix, false consciousness. And thank goodness that this is happening. This corresponds with massive changes on the earth and also in the energy network in the earth grids, the energy network in our own bodies and, connecting us to our soul. So I hope in this, video, this episode to really bring through some information that helps to organize some understanding about what is going on here, because there are so many places to get information. There are so many avenues of awakening and remembering. And my work with sacred remembering for women waking up to the truth of who we are, my intention is to give us really direct, really potent information about remembering. And of course, I'm still on my own path and my own discovery journey. I'm a human just like you. And so I'm sharing some information that I have found and realized over years of soul discovery on this unified pathway. And my hope is that, it can save others some time, and to help conceptualize some things that are going on here. And the way that I've been remembering the distinct connection between women's remembering and women's energy and sovereignty in our energy, including our sovereignty around our prosperity and our resources, and how that corresponds with the earth grids. I don't actually hear anyone else talking about this, and this has been my life's path in the last few years. So, all right, so let's dive in. There's way more to cover here than can be covered in, one event, but let's go for it. So, organic creation versus false creation. Let's just lay some groundwork and framework that there is a difference, and there is a difference in the energetic framework of these two realities, these two potentials. And I would say that what we are moving toward in our sacred remembering is a unified field of creation. Like, you will hear people say unity consciousness and talk about masculine feminine unity and being in divine union and all these things about union. Well, it actually starts within us. And I'm not just talking about the psychology or the behaviors of feminine and masculine in us. I'm also talking about the union energetics in our light bodies, our, like, the architecture of creation. So organic creation has an energy architecture to it that is purely unified. It is restored to unity. It is like an energetic structure that holds unity consciousness. So here's where consciousness comes in. It is a blueprint and a template for creation itself. And where we see this still, um, like without, like where we see the true essence of this is in nature, right? Because nature has definitely been taken advantage of but you're not going to convince a tree like of an ego reality that it needs to forget who it is and become something else. Like a tree is just not going to do that. And so nature, and this like really lights me up to talk about it. Like I feel more energy as I'm talking about this. Nature itself did not forget who it was. And, it can be like, some energy from nature was definitely taken advantage of, definitely stolen, definitely, used for negative purposes or used for greed or negative gain. But the architecture of creation itself remains intact, in nature, like in a forest. And that's why you feel good when you go into these places, because it is, it's not just that it's like grounding you, it's that there's this template of creation that is, you're probably remembering a little bit when you're in these spaces. And so you could say, well, Sarah, aren't we like divine and a part of nature and a part of organic creation? And the answer would be, yes, of course we are. Like, we're we're perfect and we're imperfect. And part of being someone who is on an awakening journey at this time, for me, like if you are on Team Unity, you are also here to remember the energetics of a unified creational template, remembering that throughout your life, your energy, your relationship, the whole gamut. And, we know what we know as we know it. So we might be on a path that's like seeking divine union or seeking energy healing, that kind of thing. What everything is attempting to do is come back to unity and come back to unified creation, organic creation, thriving life. It is a different energetic template than the false creation that our current matrix was built on. That's not true, actually, because organic creation is original, right? And then it was like, co-opted. I was going to say coerced, but co-opted, or like, negative agreements were made, or energy was stolen, or it's like, if you had a road and you wanted to like reroute it to somewhere else, like these new connections and new routes were established, and some of them went to hell realms. Some of them went to areas where stolen energy was used for really negative things, So over time, for various reasons, the original organic creation that is supposed to be that this earth was built on was diverted. That's a good word for it, diverted. And so in humans, over all of our lifetimes, over all of like the time that our soul has been, coming to earth, volunteering to remember this and figure this out and play our part, over time, there were certain breakages in our own connection to organic creation throughout the light body structure that holds who we are. So, you could simplify this by saying we have a direct connection to source. And then, it's like our soul. And then this information should be able to travel directly to us. But one of the major, um, you know, uh, hoaxes that was put into place over time was this message that you have to go into a church to connect with the divine. So, as we had this, I'm going to call it an overlay on our collective consciousness that said, forget that you can directly connect to source and you are only worthy of God's love. And then they also took the feminine out of God. So you're only worthy of this masculine, domineering God's love if you behave well and come into this building and follow the rules that are in this book. And so what is that? Well, that's people control, at the most simplest level. To just call it is like, that is convincing people that, you know, forget who you are, forget that you have this direct link, and like that you are a conduit to source. And so in that great forgetting and that convincing, there's also kinks in the architecture, fractures to the architecture of organic creation and the organic creation energy template that holds your body. So, a great source for this, and to see what this is that I'm talking about, is the Ascension Glossary, Lisa Renee's body of work. Thank you, Lisa Renee, for all of you've done, because many awakening, call us star seeds or humans, or, we're awakening, and Lisa Renee created an entire, it's essentially like a Wikipedia for all of this information. And when you first look at it, like when I first looked at it nearly 10 years ago, it was like, I didn't understand what it was saying, but I knew that it was for me. And, so if you are also on Team Unity, you will probably feel that way. And it's like many, many years of like realizing something, or, going through something with a lineage clearing, this and that, anything, and you can like go there and reference it. So I'm talking about the 12 tree architectural grid of the human light body. And you can go there and look up 12 tree grid. And this is maybe going to feel controversial to some, and it's okay. Like, everyone gets to decide what is true for us. And, the 12 tree grid is like the true template of organic creation. And we have this whole religious history that told us that there was a 10 tree grid, right? That there was this tree of life and there were 10 points in it. Well, my intuition tells me that the 2 points that were removed from the 12 tree grid, the true template of organic creation, to make the 10 tree grid, were the heart, or the high heart, and the soul point, like the monadic point of connection with the soul. So if you remove those from the tree of life, then you have people that forget that they can access source. And really, that's as simple as that is. And so, it's like I said, like we have so many options, so many opportunities to try out, which our soul does over the course of time. Like we're remembering, we're seeking, and it's like, well, does this like tree of life thing make sense to me? And, so people study that, like people study all kinds of things. Like we've got all kinds of options on this free will planet of what to study. And I'm here on Team Unity, being Sarah Poet, doing what I signed up to do, sometimes uncomfortably. Like it's a little uncomfortable to, like be challenging. Like it is uncomfortable for me to do that, but I'm doing that in the name of remembrance. Again, like not telling you what to believe, but telling you, hey, I have found this, I have discovered this organic creation. So in my path as a woman, like as I would go through healing layers of trauma, layers of separation traumas, pain points, family patterns, all of these things, I was going through layers and layers, and there might be like a corresponding like part of, my energy network. So this energy network in this 12 tree grid, it's not just outside the body, it would be impacting, all layers and levels of one's self. You could say that that starts with the physical density, including cells, including DNA, like the physicality, right? Then we have emotional layers, mental layers, and energetic spiritual layers. And of course, they're all, a part of an energy system, but it's not like we clear our energy and that doesn't affect our physicality, right? Or it's not like if I choose to eat potato chips and drink beer and smoke cigarettes, that my energy body is not going to be affected, right? Like we are one continuous being with, so much potential and capacity, and everything's connected. So we might heal an emotional layer, and a part of our, energetic template of creation come back online. And of course that happens, and it happens, in all of those directions, because everything is inextricably tied. So I'll just mention that, when I do an energy session with someone, I am not just clearing their energy body, or, like most energy. I'm sorry, again, like a lot of this is bogus, opportunities in this like new agey paradigm where it's like, I'll give you an energy clearing, or I'll read this, or I'll read that. Well, it's like, if it's not in the organic template of creation, I don't want it. I don't want a psychic who doesn't understand this. I don't want an energy clearing with someone who doesn't understand source connection and source energy and the unified template of creation. I don't want it, because that is still all within a fallen template of consciousness, which is no one's fault. It's no one's trying to deceive. Well, some people are, but like, there's a lot of honest opportunities, but it's like there's still a lack of understanding. And I'm not on some kind of high horse saying like, well, I understand what you don't understand. It's like, you know, as we remember, and we remember this organic template of creation, then that's all there is. Because, there's so much deception in fallen creation that I'll give an example, actually, a personal example. I was receiving energy, or I was receiving like shared visioning and healing from a woman that I trust very much, Mary Costello. She's been on my podcast. She's a friend of mine. And during this, I saw a wolf come into my field around my lower centers, like around my root and womb. And this wolf was like barking up a storm. And I was tuning into it, and I was like, I feel like it's helpful, but it's really trying to protect. And it's very actually vicious. And I was like, Mary, what's this? Let's tune into this wolf. What's this wolf? And then as we tuned into it, the wolf kind of came up and turned into this like feminine, wolf, like above my head. And it was like this very, it was almost like, it's like, oh no, I have this higher consciousness of this wolf. I'm being protected, but I have this higher consciousness. And Mary just intended that if this was not of divine creation, that it had to leave. And what ended up happening was that it was like it almost busted out of some kind of like wolf costume, like this energy that was being deceptive. It was like, look, no, I'm here to help you. I'm here to help you. I'm here to protect. and it busted out kind of like out of the back of my head and energy field, and it had to go because we commanded that the only thing that was allowed in this space was unified creation, was like God's creation, right? And so unified mother, father, God's creation. Um, so it was being deceptive, and in plenty of spaces and plenty of energy sessions, it would have looked like a helper and it would have been allowed to stay. And we called its bluff and got it the heck out of there. And, so this is the power of this kind of like declaration, proclamation for you in your own energy, in your own energy field. I only desire sovereign creation. I only desire the unified field. I don't want to fuck with anything else. I don't want to get fucked with like by anything else. I only want this. This is what I came for. I came for unity. Show me the way. So this is how we show up, right? And then we like remember more and we figure out more. And so, in my sessions with people, I'm not the one clearing energy. I am the one saying, hey, I'm holding space in this unified field for you to connect to your own soul. And then what ends up happening is like a divine, restructuring, because this organic creation wants to restore. It wants to be, the architecture that holds your life. Like, that is what organic creation would want. Like if it had like a wanting, and so all of life wants to reorganize according to organic creation. Isn't that so beautiful? It's like, um, yes, please, right? So when we open that space, we don't have to worry about the stories of all the past lives. We don't have to worry about the stuff that you can just fucking incessantly have to deal with some of these other modalities that I absolutely have walked the walk with and on my seeking path. And so we open up this space, and your soul in connection with source, with mother, father, God, and with like the earth and the earth template begins to reorganize what needs to be reorganized with grace, with ease. Okay, so there's so much with this topic, but I think I'll break it into different episodes. And so what I'll just also say here is that, if you have heard about like the earth grids resurrecting, or, this being the year of the dragon, and there's these dragon grids coming online. Well, this is very exciting. And this is also happening in conjunction with your light body, your 12 tree grid. And there's a direct correlation between like your verticality in your human body. And you won't really hear me talk about the seven chakras. That's not what I'm into. But there are the different centers in the body, and this energetic pillar that you are. And as we are resurrecting the truth of who we are, and I love all humans, and I help anyone who comes to me, and I'm especially interested in like the extra awesome potential with women right now, because I believe that women have a very unique opportunity at this time, in our great remembering, in our bringing back online all of the powers of our light body and all of the powers of our body, including our womb and womb energy that exists, in connection with this like power and potential of who we are. As we bring that back online in this central pillar of who we are and the verticality of our light body of creation, we are coming back into divine connection with the earth itself. And this is what I was shown with Heartland, which was a whole divine activation that happened for me a few years ago. And thousands of grandmothers came forward and banged their drums and like wailed their wails as I was saying, why are women so depleted? Like, why was this done to the feminine? Why is feminine depleted out of the earth? Why is it taken advantage of? And I had enough knowledge and wisdom and experience at that time and hardship, quite frankly, with my own feminine energy and my own womb energy being taken advantage of. I was consistently depleted. My resources were depleted. My money was depleted. It was like, what the actual heck is going on here? And so I asked the question very genuinely. And I believe that clearly, it was mine to ask and it was mine to receive this transmission of Heartland. And I walk with it in a sacred like appreciation. And also I've had so many of my own initiations in relation to this material. So it wasn't like, I got the understanding and then everything was like just peachy. No, like there was immense initiation and learning after that, even still. And, as I continue to come back out of that, it's like, well, we show up in our mission and our purpose, even if we're like imperfect or still figuring it out. And of course, that's always true. Like, of course, we are always figuring things out and always remembering and always coming back into more of our true and our authentic self. And so it has been like a humbling and brutal and gorgeous journey that I actually am so, so, so grateful for. And so we're getting into some really fun times on the planet. And I know that it does not always feel fun, but we are getting into times on the planet where our remembrance and our direct remembrance, standing in the unified creation of who we are. I'm not talking about New Age spirituality. I know that that's on the pathway sometimes, but I'm talking out now and speaking out now because I don't want you to waste more energy. I don't want you to waste more time. I want you to be sovereign in your resources, sovereign in your energy field, sovereign in the power of your womb, if you have one. And, if you've had a hysterectomy or something like that, like there's still the imprint and of the womb. And so the earth grids themselves are resurrecting in the same way that we are remembering our energetic template of unified creation. There are new grids in the earth that are being formed. It's sometimes like a resurrection of the old grids, and sometimes it's like brand new grids because maybe the old grids were like too hijacked, And when I'm talking about the old grids being hijacked, for example, it's the consciousness of like, not everybody can be prosperous. Only some people are going to accumulate the wealth and other people aren't going to have it. And our wealth system, as it has existed, has been built on a lot of extraction, a lot of taking advantage of the feminine in women and in the earth, and a lot of taking advantage of, indigenous people, land, people of color. And so this like colonialism sort of mentality that was like, there's a resource, I'm going to take it. The great news is that in the new earth grid, in the new earth consciousness, this will not stand. So you cannot have, this goes both ways. You cannot have a new earth grid that supports that consciousness, and you cannot be in that consciousness and be benefiting from the new earth grids. It won't stand. And so it's an incredible time. And I know that it can often feel for many of us like, what the fuck? I'm following what I knew to do. I am doing everything I knew to do. I'm hearing this from women all the time who are discovering my work. They're like, okay, what I was doing is no longer working. And I've done the remembering of the sacred feminine. I've, thought I took back my worth. I've done these various things, healing my trauma, right? Done these things, still not winning. Why? Well, because we're remembering like absolute power of being in this unified creational template that is inherently unified. I won't go into that now, but like our light body template is inherently unified, inherently, yes, like both masculine and feminine, not in an androgynous kind of like way, not in a personality or a sexuality way at all. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like the actual energetics of creation itself, sound, light, coming together and making something like with that electromagnification. Okay. So our own very light bodies are like made of that stuff, as is, creation itself. And so it is in that, unified template that we are remembering. Gender is a whole other thing, right? That's a whole other thing. That's like, I'd love to hear your questions about that. But like, we have this, I'll just mention, we have like a gender split, whereas like maybe there was like a unified soul, and then that soul became a man masculine and a woman feminine, expression of the same soul. And so then that's where we would get into, when people talk about divine union or like twin souls or something like that, that's the like coming back together of those two humans who have remembered their own unified creation. And I myself went through actually meeting that person in this lifetime, and unfortunately hadn't remembered yet the mechanics of the organic creation that were about the feminine and the masculine unifying in every single way in me and in my relationship to the divine and in my relationship to creation. And so it's like when we get there, that's where that union with the other who has like remembered that, or you're both on your pathway to remembering that, then those two people coming together can actually spark way more unified creation on the planet. So hooray for that. But it's a whole pathway, it's a whole thing. So I think I'll leave this here for today. This is a pretty short episode for me personally. And you can find much more information on the Sacred Remembering podcast at sarahpoet.com. And if you want to check out the offerings that I have going on, I'll mention two. You can always schedule private soul alignment sessions with me. And this is the gist of what we're doing in those sessions. Like I mentioned, we connect to your source connected soul and look at how the architecture wants to organize. That is like the only thing that we really need to be doing on the planet, that will clear energy, that will heal lineages, that will reconnect us to, the earth grids, our prosperity, all of it. And that's like the pathway that I believe in. I'll say that. And then the other, thing that I'm doing is like making this specifically applicable to women and women's resources and women's prosperity. And so you can check out sarahpoet.com and look at all the resources that are there. And monthly, I'm having regenerative feminine events. I'll talk much more about this. But the regenerative feminine events give us, frequencies and like supports for this new restored template to come back online. So you can find that all at sarahpoet.com. I would love to hear from you in the comments. You can email me directly, sarah@sarahpoet.com, SARAHPOET. com. And I would love to receive your questions, your insights. I love hearing from you and hearing how this lands and, knowing what would be helpful to bring forward next. So thank you so much for watching and listening today. Just so many blessings to you from my heart to yours and through this like possibility and potential that we are creating right now of unified creation on this earth. So much love. Until next time.